Up Demonstrator in Central Victoria, Australia, and I go live every Sunday with a new challenge, and this week's is going to be a fun one. I know that there's going to be a lot of entries this week because I think it's a really good one to create with. So this week's challenge is landscape. So we can create any scene that we want, which I think is amazing. So I'm just going to grab my video up so I can see who's watching. Please pop on and say hello as you pop on. And it's always really great to see who's watching, who's joining in for today. So hopefully everyone's having a great Sunday morning and you've had a great Saturday so far, or weekend so far. My screen seems to be frozen. Does anyone have any plans for today? I think we're going to get a lot more rain. It's forecast, so it'll be interesting because it's pretty sloppy and wet outside at the moment. Hi Deborah, from Wet and Flooded. Oh wow, well, we're not flooded yet, but it's pretty soggy, so hopefully you stay well and safe. Flooding's not good. Rain's good, flooding's not good. Alrighty, so let me show you the card that we're going to be creating today. I'm hoping the lighting is okay. I have a little bit of a struggle with our lighting. The light that I have with my new phone, it actually flickers a lot, so I'm not sure why. I've changed the settings in my phone. It hasn't helped, but anyway. So we'll just have to go with the other light that I have that doesn't make it flicker so much. Deborah says she doesn't need any more rain. Hi, Sylvia. You're away from home. Oh, okay, you're officiating a track and field meet this evening. Fantastic, we'll enjoy that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, so let me bring in the card that we're going to create today. Obviously, we're creating the landscape of the beach in the background. This is using the In the Moment stamp set. I'm showing you the partial die cutting technique today because we're cutting this circle out, but she's still part of that whole piece of card. So that's something that's always really good to have in your stash of how you do, like those techniques that you can do. Helps you to create some really beautiful cards. And I love the colorings in that sky in the background. We'll see whether we can do that again, only because my ink blending brush had so much Magenta Madness on it that I cleaned it and cleaned it and cleaned it, and it didn't really come off clean. So I went and ran it under cold water to try and get rid of some of that ink. There is, I think, a whole pot of Magenta Madness on this brush. I've got most of it off because we're using Blushing Bride, not Magenta Madness. But we could have a little bit of transfer from that ink. So it'll be interesting to see if we get this same look or whether it's going to be a lot more bold and in your face. Morning, Marion, how are you? The lighting's okay, beautiful. Oh, Melinda, welcome. I'm so glad that you've been able to join us. Okay, so we're going to get started. For this card, we're using 3 colours as well as Memento Tuxedo Black ink. We've got Balmy Blue, Blushing Bride and Daffodil Delight. I'm using some stamping blends to colour in our little lady here. We've got Balmy Blue, Crumb Cake, Daffodil Delight, Ivory and Bronze for her colourings. And like I said, we have In the Moment stamp set. This is in the mini catalogue, great for colouring. And we've got 3 beautiful images here. One where she's sitting having a wine, one with her puppy reading a book in bed, and then one on a windowsill. I know what those are called. The window seats, having a cuppa. So beautiful, really nice stamp set, this one. And what I thought, because we're going to use our Memento Tuxedo Black ink for our stamping, I'm actually going to use the Stamparatus as well. I find sometimes using Memento that you don't get a good crisp image the first time every time. StazOn is a little bit more able to do that, but because I'm using Memento for our stamping blends, we're going to do it this way. So our card base is going to be Balmy Blue. We have a Daffodil Delight as our matting, piece of thick basic white. I've got the shimmery white cardstock that we're actually doing our ink blending in the background, which is really cool. Shimmery white is great because it has, I don't know how well that's going to pick up in the shadows, but it really doesn't pick up at all. It has a sparkle and a shine to it, so it's really, really pretty when you add colours to it. And then I've just got some scraps of Balmy Blue Daffodil Delight for our sentiment there. Alrighty, so the piece that we're going to be, sorry about the flickering, guys. The piece that we're going to be stamping our image on is going to be on our basic white thick cardstock. And I'm going to have to sort out some sort of lighting because the flickering is bothering me and that's not good. All right, so I'm just going to add my magnet to it. And what we want to do is we want to have the image sort of down below, that we can still get a good amount of background in. If I put it up the right way, that would make more sense. And she has to be in the center because once we die cut our circle, we want that to be even on both sides. So I think that's good. I'm going to pick her up with my clear acrylic plate. And I might even get that second magnet from underneath, just because I'm live and things always go wrong when I'm live. So I'm going to add extra precaution to make sure that that doesn't move. All right, so we can start adding our Memento Tuxedo black ink to our image. And we could do this 2 or 3 times. It just depends on how that inks. It might do perfect the first time. You just never know with Memento. And you guys might have a completely different experience with Memento. For me, it's not always perfect. And see, that's a really great image, but it's not as dark and black as I want. So I'm going to do it a second time. Hi Rachel, how are you? You did catch me live. That's fantastic. Hopefully you're having a great Sunday morning. Perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this aside. Stampin' is a wonderful tool. If you don't have one, I think it's a great one to have in your toolkit because it really helps you to stamp in that right position every single time. So we're just going to have a quick look. I want to leave this to dry before I start colouring in. I find by leaving it just a few minutes, your blends won't bleed so much if it's completely dry. So this is a top folding card. It's half a piece of A4 cut in half at the 4 1/8 point. And this is just our matting that will go straight over the top. Alrighty, so we can bring in that shimmery white cardstock and create our background. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in both my Daffodil Delight and Balmy Blue inks in. And let me just bring in that card so you can see that as well. So I've got a little bit of the sea underneath, and this piece actually measures. There's just a tiny little border all the way around our basic white thick piece. So what we want to do is down the bottom we're going to layer some Balmy Blue, and I went with the lazy option. I'm going to say that it's a lazy option. It's the quick and easy one. So I'm just going to drag my ink pad over the piece of shimmery white cardstock. Might come up just a little bit more. And you can go over as many times as you like. Easy, hey? And then we're going to do the same with the Daffodil Delight. And I wanted a lot more of the skyline rather than the sea. So hopefully I've done it in the right spot. And I'm just going to go down until I hit that mark. Perfect. As you can see, missed that little bit there, but I don't think that's really going to be so noticeable. And then to create that little bit of an extra around that circle piece, this is where that Blushing Bride comes in, but I want to make sure that that's dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat that with the heat tool really quick. We have put a fair bit of ink on there, but the shimmery white cardstock can hold a lot. You can actually do watercolouring to a certain extent with the shimmery white as well. So it's a little bit thicker. Okay, so it's not feeling as wet. I'm going to bring in the Blushing Bride and using my ink blending brush, which has a ton of water still on it. I think I've tried to get as much off as I could. And I'm just going to bring this around in that circular motion. This is going to make it a little bit more of an orange effect. I don't think it's giving me my pink as much because it is wet still, but you can see it. Cute. Highly recommend not having a wet ink blending brush. Rachel's resting up. Oh, you had a reaction from your booster. That's no good. Have the kids started back yet, Rachel? Or is it just the teachers still? I know the kids go back Monday here in Victoria. The teachers went back on Friday. Alrighty, so we have this. I think it's dry enough. What we're going to do is we're going to bring in that largest circle from our layering circle dies. So this one here. And what we want to do is we want to layer this. I want to line up the edge of the circle with both the top of the table here and the edge of the table. And also be centered in the middle as well. So just like that. I'm also going to bring in some washi tape just to secure that into place. And we're going to hope that it doesn't pull any of that off. Oh, Rachel says another week before the kids go back. Okay. We'll rest up and I hope that you're feeling better really soon. It's nothing worse than not feeling well. Okay. So I've taken a little bit of that sticky off from the washi tape, just because if you don't, and you can do it on your hand, if you don't, you're going to end up pulling off some of that cardstock. So I'm going to bring in my cut and emboss machine, and I've even got my new plates out. Well, they're new, but not completely new. I'm going to grab that one. Okay, so the trick to partial die cutting is to place your cutting plate on the section that you would like to be cut. and not on the section that you don't want cut. So I'm going to just bring this through. In our new plates, you can see there's a beveled edge. Anything up to that edge, that beveled piece, will cut. Anything after that does not cut. So that's a good little tip for you. What we're going to do is we're going to slide this through, and then I'm actually going to, without moving my piece too much, pop that on the end of where we want it to stop cutting. So just like that. Let's run that through. Oh, Marion says Rachel can start planning for her crafting if she's unable to get to the craft table. That's not a bad idea. Okay, so I'm just going to move this out of the road, and I've got 3 plates sitting there. I don't know why I've got 3. Interesting. Now very carefully take off our washi tape. And there we can see I've cut it down to that area. So I can bring my snips in now. We're going to cut around this lady and her glass of wine. So this does take a little bit of maneuvering and care, but it's not too hard. You could also use a precision knife if you have one of those. On a cutting mat, that would work. And for anyone who it might be easier to colour your image before you do this. And I think that's what I did when I made this first one, but anyway. It won't make it super hard or anything like that, so I'm not too worried. Well, Rachel, you know you're sick when you're too tired to even think about crafting. So just rest up and get better soon. Plenty of vitamin C. And fluids. Okay, so now I've just got to get in between her arms. You could leave that if you wanted to, I think. I don't know whether it really matters. I'm just going to use my precision knife to get started in between her arm. And I've done that off onto my craft desk. And I think you could probably leave this because it does butcher it a little bit. It's a very tight space to get your scissors in. But I've done it with the first one, so I'm going to do it again. Luckily our snips are very sharp, so you can get into tight spots. Alrighty. How cute is that? And then if we bring in our piece that we've just cut and coloured, look at that. Alrighty. While we still have that Memento out, I'm going to quickly come back in with that stamp, and I'm going to clean it off. But what we actually want to do is we want to add the birds back in. So we've just cut the birds out. I just need to dry that really quick. So if I line this up and behind there really quickly, I can even leave it on the acrylic block. It's not going to matter too much. But what I want to do is I want to mask off the top of that little lady, just so we're going to ink up. Nothing more than those birds. So I've just popped a post-it note over the top, ink up with my Memento, take the post-it note off. And then where I want my birds is about there. Stamp the birds down. And you can definitely put this on an acrylic stamp block. Doesn't really matter. That's probably just my laziness coming out. Cute. All right, so let's start colouring her in. I'm also just going to grab another bit of scrap paper. I use a ton of scrap paper in my stamp room. And like I said before, we've got Daffodil Delight, Balmy Blue, Crumb Cake, Bronze, Ivory, and Pale Papaya. So we're going to start off with, let's bring those in. I want to do the ivory for her face and her arms. And did you know that we've got new stamping blends with flesh tones? Whole new set. They're available to demonstrators now. They'll be available to customers really soon. But you can, if you want to purchase the starter kit, you can actually pop them in your starter kit right now. And there's a set that goes with it all together. And there's DSP. There's a stamp set with it's a bundle, so it has dies there as well. So I've just coloured in her arms there. I'm going to bring in the Balmy Blue Dark for her hat. I actually have that all together set, but I haven't played with it yet. I did sort of grab it out yesterday and look at it and think I've got to do something with this one. So you should see something really soon using that set. So I'm not doing any fancy colouring, I'm just straight colouring in. And I'm also going to do her little belt on her dress. Easy. The Pale Papaya I've used for her wine. So I'm just going to add, and I'm using the light Pale Papaya for that one. I'm going to do her hair, so I'm actually going to colour the whole thing in Crumb Cake Light. And then I'm going to add some colour in with the dark and the bronze. You can see that she's got multicolours to her hair, so multi-toned. All right, and then we're going to go in with her dress, and I've done a quick and easy light for her whole dress, and then we're going to come back in and add some beautiful little polka dots with the dark. So nothing screams summery dress as a yellow Daffodil Delight dress, I don't think. Really, really pretty. Okay. And I'm going to add big circles, little circles, lots of different circles. Anyone got anything exciting happening today? I don't think we're doing much. I think we're going to get more rain today. We're supposed to get more rain from 9 o'clock onwards, so all the way up till 5 o'clock. But other than that, not too much. We almost got flooded in our back area the other day. We had water coming in our outdoor room. We had to go out, I think it was about 9:30, and just sweep it out. It was coming down off the gutters so fast, just couldn't keep up. It was just so torrential. And I'm just going to use my dark for the table. So I've added the bronze to the top and the dark for the table and its legs. So a pretty quick card. I think the partial die cutting steps it up a lot, and there's so many different things you could do with the partial die cutting. I've just used the plain circle, so yeah, how cute is that? All right, so before we start popping our whole card together, let's bring in those scraps that we have, and I'm just going to stamp the sentiment "You're in my thoughts," which is, there's a few different sentiments in this set. That one didn't want to come up. Try and get that on a little bit straighter. There we go. And we're just going to use the Memento for that one as well. Marion, I did your trick. I put black everywhere. There we go. I've got black just on my finger, so I want to get rid of that so I don't pop it on my card and wreck my card. All right, now we're right to start popping everything together. We're going to add our layer that we added our inks to straight down using our ink pads, and I'm actually going to use tear and tape. So I'm going to add, I don't know, I'm really scared to use the liquid glue on my lives. I seem to get it everywhere. So we're just gonna go with that. If I could work out the stamp and seal, I'd use that one, but have a lot of trouble with that one. Sylvia said it's very dry now. Had 3 minutes of rain on Friday morning. Oh no. So you need some rain. So I'm just going to line that up. Deborah says she's had 90 mils of rain for 2 days. Wow. I think our humidity is stopping everything from working, except my Stampin' Up envelopes. Did you hear me? If you caught my live on Thursday, you might have heard me say I had some Stampin' Up envelopes on my desk, and the humidity has actually stuck them all together. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to layer. That's not even sticking to that. I'm going to have to bring in my liquid glue. So I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back of this. and adding it down to my Daffodil Delight. We're going to pop this one up onto our balmy blue card base. And I really like the pop of colour in the background, but the main piece being really white. I think that looks really great. Okay, so let's bring some dimensionals in and add them. Sylvie said the grass is very crunchy, fire warnings rising. I hope you have rain soon then, Sylvia. There's nothing worse than being worried about fires. Our only thing is we get a lot of rain and then we get a lot of growth, and then we have fires with a lot of growth, and that's really scary. Hi Marilyn. Minus 22 degrees Celsius last night. It's warmed up to minus 11. Where are you, Marilyn? That sounds perfect weather for me. I love winter. Okay, so we're going to pop that down. I think snow's magical, but I've never lived at the snow, so I think I probably wouldn't like snow if I lived there. Alrighty, so we've got the card. I did use a punch. This one here, Everyday Label, I think. And I'm not even sure if that is still current, but I've used it anyway. You could just cut it out into a strip as well and create your own Benner cut ends. And then I'm going to cut a strip of Daffodil Delight. And I think I might make it 1/2 inch. Let me have a look what I've got written down. I've just got a scrap, so I used a scrap piece that I had. This one's actually going to be a little bit bigger than my sample project, but that's okay. I'm going to feed, actually this is going to be too big, let me cut that down a little bit. I want to feed it through my punch, so we might do, let's do 1/2 inch. No. This still might be, oh. Oops. Okay, that didn't like that. I don't know about your trimmer, but my trimmer does not like cutting small pieces. That's going to be a little bit smaller than my sample, but that'll be fine. Actually, that's pretty much spot on. We're going to pop this through the punch, centering up, and I've just cut it down. And let's work out how big we want it. I think just about there. So cut that down. And we're going to do the same thing. Pop it through our punch, center it, and then punch down. Easy. And I'm going to use some mini dimensionals, and I'm going to use those edges, those bones. So I'm just going to cut up the sides. And we're going to pop up both pieces. Pop it on this side. So I want to pop up my little strip of Daffodil Delight. Oh, you're in Ontario, Canada. Welcome. I'd love to go to Canada one day. It's on the bucket list. And then this one here is a little bit long as well. Cut that one down a little. Let's line him up in the middle a bit more. That's better. All right, lastly, we're going to bring just some basic rhinestones in. And you can see this hasn't gone as pink as my sample. And I believe that is the only reason is the brush was a little bit wet. So I wasn't able to pick up. So it's not as pretty as I would like, but it still looks good. So grab some rhinestones and we're going to pop a big one down here, a medium one over here. I might actually grab a smaller one for in here. So a nice little triangle. There we go. And that's today's card. So the challenge is a landscape theme. You can create any landscape you would like. And we would love to see you join in. So the more people join in, the more inspiration you can receive. And don't forget, if you're joining in, take a photo of your card and then just pop over to my Facebook page. It'll be posted, or the challenge will be posted to the top of the page. You just pop your photo of your project in the comments there. And if you're not taking part, come on over and just have a look at everyone else's entries as well. So it's always fun. Now, if you're in need of any of the supplies that I've used here today, I'll have them linked in the description of this video a little bit later, as well as all the other information. And I'll have my blog post up and running a little bit later on as well, so you can go back and check those out. If you haven't hit subscribe, please do that. I would love it if you would subscribe. And what else? A thumbs up would be fantastic as well. Oh, thank you, everyone. I'm glad that you've enjoyed it. Yeah, Marion says, lovely idea, great challenge. Yes. And for everyone out there, if you enjoy taking challenges, this one is a really great one to participate in. If you have any themes that you would like to see covered, please message me. I'm always up for ideas from other people to do challenges each week as well. So, yeah. All right, everyone, have a great weekend, and I'll be back next Thursday at 5 o'clock if you want to come back and join me and create with Tracy. Until then, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you all soon. Okay, bye-bye.